Okay, well, we are rolling. Greetings, greetings, dear Gemini. That's you over here. This is Terra Lumination, and this is your mini generic love and relationship report for the December 2018 period. Okay, just some rambling things. Please forgive me, dear regulars. I got to go through the drill for people who are here for the first time. We're going to use Terra Lumination Crucible spread on the understanding that the crucible is a structure that they use in laboratories that is designed to withstand intense pressures, alchemical reactions, okay? And still the container survives. And it's the same in relationships. From Terra Lumination perspective, there's the self, there's the other, and then there's a third entity, the relationship itself. And Terra Lumination likes to think of the relationship as a crucible, as the structure, as the bowl in which the relationship exists, okay? And in a loving relationship or a conscious relationship, let's say, both parties are aware of the crucible and they conduct themselves and everything through the crucible, okay? On the understanding that that is their place. It's like owning a business, okay? I know it sounds kind of droll, takes the romance out of it, but anyway, it's healthy. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising in case each one is different and reinterpret to suit yourselves. Cross-watch for significant others, of course, okay? Also, please invite your invisible friends, angels, spirit guides, and all that, because that's what we do over here, okay? So cards are already well shuffled in advance, but it will go to the last second so that you're a witness. Just want to get a few things on the record here, just while we have a moment. Please consider Terra Lumination membership, okay? Terra Lumination is still a very quirky, little, let's say, specialized channel, and we need a lot of, let's say, support outside the channel. So we have the new Terra Lumination membership program at Patreon. Please, please consider this. Check the links below in the description box. Also, please consider the first Friday group healing events. Okay, we're doing these now every month. We just started, so it's very early days, but it's all about vibrational energy healing. Okay, and Terra Lumination is there in person, not just wobbly hands. Also, look for the links for shopping, the silk scarf, books, personal readings, songs, and the Sunday Night Live. Okay, we do super chat mini readings there. Okay, and so on. Sometimes we get free readings too. Okay. Now, while we're doing all the paperwork stuff, I want to share with you some basic information and dates for everyone. This is for everybody. I make charts, I make doodles for everybody, okay? And I'm just sharing the basics here with you, Gemini. December the 6th, we have a new moon in Sagittarius and Mercury now turning direct again in Sagittarius. So that's a relief for everybody. It's a very effervescent, delightful, happy new moon, even though it is in your house of full opposition, okay? This is the season for you, Geminis, all Geminis, when the sun moves through Sagittarius. That is like the energy of maximum opposition. It's some people call the seventh house the house of open enemies, but at least you know where you stand. It's also the house of marriage. So I'm not going to say anything more about that. You can figure it out for yourself. Over here, December 21st, everything shifts again. The sun enters Capricorn, and it's the winter solstice. A few days later, we have the full moon in Cancer. Okay, big shift in energy here. This is going to be an indication of what's coming in 2019. It's not hitting you directly. It's kind of at a quirky angle, okay? But it will affect you somewhere in your chart. My personal feeling about this month is that it's a month of big change. And it's sort of like being stuck at San Francisco airport in a fog event where just one beautiful billowing event of fog has a huge ripple effect on so many flights coming in and going, cancellations, rescheduling, delays, and everything all over the planet just from one airport fog event, okay? So that's what I feel is going on here, because we've got this new big chapter for everybody where Jupiter has entered Sagittarius, okay? It's already in Sagittarius. It just started a year-long journey. And that's going, I'll show you in a minute, okay? But Jupiter's in Sagittarius and it's in a hard square with Mars in Pisces, okay? My interpretation here for general purposes, this triggers an expansion of our spiritual awareness through challenges to our most deeply buried secrets and wounds. The Tarot Illumination theme is that we have to reveal it to heal it anyway. So let's quickly look at this. I'm just going to focus on a couple of things here. It might look like nonsense to you. Pretend that's you, okay? Imagine that's you, Gemini, right there. The house of self, Gemini. Over here, the seventh house of the other, relationship, okay? So we're going through a time period of maximum opposition for you. You might feel it is a very challenging time, a very open, awakening time, because it's the moment when you have the clearest reflection of who you are coming back to you from a significant other. There is nowhere to hide in this kind of relationship dynamic. The best and the worst are exposed. House of open enemies, the house of deeply loving marriage energy. It's all happening there. New starts, new beginnings, new opportunities. Sun and Moon in Sagittarius, Mercury in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Sagittarius. So that's a lot of Sagittarian energy there. Okay, so be on your toes, all right? This is the conflict thing that I was talking about here, the challenge thing, okay? The other dates, the 21st for the Sun in Capricorn, 22nd full moon. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's just get on with the show, okay? Here we go. Let's get on. Thank you for your patience, everybody, all the regulars. Please, thank you so, so much. Now we'll actually get on with the cards, okay? I know a lot of you like to have the astrology notes, but I know some of you like to just dive into the cards. And so I'm trying to compromise and do the best blend that we can here. So bless these cards, bless the whole deck, every single individual card. Bless you, Gemini. Bless Tarot Illumination that we can even do this at all. Bless the technology, the cameras, the electricity, the internet, the platform, and all of that stuff, okay? Cards are now officially cut, and here we go. You'll see it all unfold in a moment. This is you, Gemini. Think of yourself as an antenna, like a cell phone, and you're radiating, you're constantly transmitting and receiving energy and signals. How conscious are you? What are the signals that you're transmitting? What are you receiving? Over here, same with the significant other. What are they transceiving? Over here, deep down inside of you, what are you transceiving? Deep down inside of the other, what are they transceiving? Here at the core itself, the relationship. Gemini, other, third entity, the relationship itself. You guys own this thing, whether you know it or not. It's better off if you know it and you're aware of it, then you can have a much greater chance of successful relationship as we intimate and separate in a normal way that everybody does in love and relationship, okay? This is the crucible. This is a bowl type structure where the relationship exists. How is your crucible? Is it wobbly? Is it safe? Does it have one leg, four legs? Is it leaky? Is it whatever it is, we got to find out, okay? Over here, prospects and momentum. What are you guys growing? This is a living thing. You guys own this. Let's have a look at circumstantial influences, environmental influences. I like to think of it as weather. It's out there, okay? We're starting off with 13, death card, okay? So it's a time of profound transformation for you out there, and I think it's inevitable, and I think it's good. I think it's a huge shift, and I think it's very much to do with the shifts that are coming through Jupiter in Sagittarius. It's a whole year's journey. Let me go back to this just for a moment. This thing that we're talking about here, when you focus on the Jupiter here, Jupiter just started. It's right here, okay? And it's going to take a whole year to go through this part of your life, okay? So you're going to experience an expansion, an awakening, spiritual increase in spiritual consciousness and awareness that will occur in the context of significant relationship, okay? And for this particular few weeks here, it's going to be under a lot of pressure from Mars. Mars is not going to give any quarter. Okay, so please allow for that. And it's beneficial. It might feel a little disturbing at first, but the thing is you will shift and grow and change, and the old bits of you will become redundant and die off, and the new you will be born. Okay? Okay, so do not be scared of this card. Please see it as a gift, as a chance for you to grow and heal and evolve and advance your own spiritual awareness in the context of a significant relationship. What are you radiating here? Okay, So I guess you're already feeling it. This is the World card where you might be feeling like, I have no choice, TL. It's just like I feel like I've been squeezed into this situation. I wish somebody had told me in advance about all this kind of stuff that can happen in relationships. I do see it and feel it as a tumultuous ending of maybe years or a 12-year chapter life cycle, because that journey, excuse me, that journey that we're talking about here, it's a year-long journey for Jupiter, but it's starting the beginning of another 12-year cycle. So think back to how you were and where you were in relationships 12 years ago. If you had relationships, if you're really young, maybe you didn't. But if you're older, you might have, where were you 12 years ago? What was your life like? See what you were like then and now. How does that replay now? Because it's the end of a lifestyle package deal. Okay, let's just call it out for what it is. What that means is the beginning of a new lifestyle package deal. And however you want to think of it as a movie. The whole thing is over. It's finished. The Gemini that you know, the Gemini that you have known, that you're going to know, that's over. It's done. And the Gemini that is becoming you is just beginning, a whole new journey just beginning, okay? And you're going to witness it in the context of the relationship. It would be very hard to understand and figure these things out without a significant other, okay? So please, attitude of gratitude. What are they radiating here? Okay, with the Seven of Cups, it might be disorienting for them. They might be in a situation. There, some readers see different things in this card. I like to think of this card as a card of divine inspiration. Mostly, I'm trying to, in the positive sense, but we have to allow that this card can also tell a story of a person who is kind of lost in a emotional, let's say, psychodrama, where they don't know up and down, left and right. They could be they could even be someone who's like I don't want to, really diss the person over here, but someone who has issues with like reality, like they might be seriously out of touch with reality in some way, shape, or form. They might also be a very, very dreamy type of character who's constantly in touch with the energy of heaven, almost like being an artist, okay? Where it's very hard for sometimes a lot of other people to relate to someone like this because they're up in the clouds. And they're always in a state of divine inspiration, receiving messages from heaven, for example, and then turning it into what they think of as a life. But that might feel like very bohemian and bizarre to you. Like, artists and geniuses and people who have a very strong connection with the divine often are perceived as very like weird or different or out of place or misunderstood or from another planet. Okay, so you have to allow for that, Gemini. If you're relating with someone who fits that kind of definition here, please allow for that. And again, allow for the laws of reflection and mirroring that happen in relationships. This probably wouldn't be happening unless there was a part of you that was the same way too. And now you're getting a chance to see that aspect of yourself reflected back to you, like the loony, the genius loony, the aspiring artist, the person who has connections with angels, the person who has a little bit of clairvoyance, the person who basically, maybe I don't want to say too much about like self-medicating or anything like that, but that could be an issue as well. Okay, so let's have a look. What are you radiating deep inside here? Okay, well, with the Eight of Cups and all these cups over here too, my feeling is that there's this kind of swirling, foggy blender kind of energy going on right now. I'm going to go back to the fog event that we talked about at San Francisco Airport, where there is so much swirly energy going on right now. It would be almost impossible for you to navigate your way through this. It literally, because this has just started, especially if you think around December 6th, the early part of the month, and as it progresses through the later part of the month, this could be almost disorienting for you as you go through the shift and transformation. This has been a 12-year journey to get back to this point here, and it's just starting again. So Jupiter is really opening up your consciousness here, through it's being opened up through a significant other, and that can be very disorienting for you. Like people who are starting to tap into the great beyond and hear and see, let's say, messages, synchronicity, having stronger and stronger contact with angels and so on like that, they often feel like they're going insane, going completely nuts. So you might be feeling a bit of that. You might be feeling like you're with someone who is a bit like that, and then you're a witness to them, and then they are a witness back to you. So you might be feeling like deep down, I know I can't avoid it. I can't get out of this. Whatever I thought constituted love or a loving relationship, it's basically over. I don't know exactly, how little or how much I do know, but what I do know is that what I perceive or perceived as love and loving relationship, it's obsolete now, and I don't have a choice anymore here as the Gemini except to go on into this new, let's say, spiritual expansion here. And it may occur in the context of this relationship. If you're in a situation where a major relationship is ending and we're opening gateways to new relationship, that could make sense too. We're at the point of maximum pressure here. So it could indicate that Geminis in general may be under a lot of pressure to fracture, where the whole thing, everything fractures like an earthquake, just literally crack. And then people discover their true nature and they go in their separate ways. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but people do change, evolve, and grow. It's like tectonic plates. You can't stop that stuff happening. People change, evolve, and grow. And if you feel you want to lock somebody or something into a formula or a box, it's not going to work. Okay, so let's have a look what's happening deep inside of them. Okay, to me it feels like in some ways it's a relief, but in some ways it's a little bit disorienting for them, because with the Fool card here, my feeling is that they're going through their own version of all this, what I would think of as the fog event here. I want to go back to this again. See, let's put the other party over here, okay? So they were experiencing all this planetary stuff. Doesn't matter what sign they are or whatever, because everybody has this stuff going on in their chart somewhere, wherever it is, okay? So they're going through their own catharsis themselves, all right? And they happen to be relating with you, and you happen to be relating with them. My feeling is that in their own way, just like you may be very consciously aware that things as you used to know them are over and new horizons are opening up for you. They might not know this or be aware of it at the conscious level like you are, but deep down, they might be aware that something is changing and that they're heading out on a new journey, but they might not understand the process of evolution, where in order to evolve and grow, it means letting go and releasing the past. And they might not be able to handle it to the point where they're almost like, I don't know if they're having a breakdown or having some kind of, delusional feelings about love and relationship, where it's almost like you're in love with someone or you're not in love with someone, and they're off, at the deep soul level, they are starting their own journey as well. Because this energy here that we talked about, this Mars Jupiter thing, it's a really highly like stimulated. It's like someone who takes a can of beer and shakes it up, but you don't pop it open yet. It's very volatile in that way. There's a lot of pressure to expand and grow, and it's very effervescent. The Jupiter in Sagittarius is very optimistic, positive, and all about expansion and spiritual growth and awareness. And it's a question, it might be a little over the top. It might be very hard for your significant other here to handle it. And deep down, it's just like, they're like, I have no idea what's happening to me. I'm completely disoriented. I'm up in the clouds. I don't mean to hurt anybody. I don't want to be hurt. I don't know if I love you anymore. I don't know if you love me anymore. I don't even know what love is anymore. All I know is something is starting from scratch again. And they are being influenced just as much as you by this energy of this profound energy of transformational shifting and changes, tectonic plates just, ripping apart and opening up new horizons for you, new horizons for them. It just might be very disorienting for them, and that can have a ripple effect on you, of course, just like the fog event in San Francisco airports. Like, you know, if they're completely wigging out because of their own journey, that's having an impact on you. And if you're completely wigging out because of your own journey, that's having an impact on them. And it's very hard to navigate in that situation. Let's have a look at the core itself here. Okay, so with the Ten of Swords, my feeling is that I'm not a fortune teller. I don't do that here with Tarot Illumination. All we do is talk about raw energy. And with the Ten of Swords here, the relationships looks like it's in this particular chapter or aspect of your relationship, some component of you, Gemini, and your significant other, and the relationship is basically done. It's FUBAR, FUBAR, effed up beyond all repair. And in a way, that's a good thing. At least you know where you stand. This is like you can't take certain aspects anymore. They can't handle it anymore. You're not willing to be a pincushion for them anymore and all their issues. They're not willing to be a pincushion for you anymore and all your issues, whatever it is. So basically, it's over. It's almost like both parties are looking at each other saying, you know what? This isn't working anymore. I can see it's not working for you and it's not working for me. And then you say, well, I can see it's not working for you and it's definitely not working for me. So what do? You accept that you've reached a breaking point and you allow things to break. Please do that. Be flexible. Gemini, you're one of the flexible signs. Okay, Sagittarius is one of the flexible signs. Pisces is one of the flexible signs. Okay, and please allow for that, the shifting and everything. Now, with all the indications of transformational, cathartic shifting and changing here and heading off into new horizons that are probably very hard to predict at the moment for you guys, please allow that you can still have an ongoing relationship. It just might be going through like a very cathartic period right now. Definitely transformation, the death of one way of being and the birth of a new way of being. So don't be 100% scared of this. Just see it as the end of what is no longer acceptable anymore. You just have to say this, you just have to call it out. That is the truth. It's unavoidable. It's vivid. It is stark. And you're both learning it from each other, but you're learning it a lot from the other, okay? Now, if you stay flexible and you allow for this to happen, then the crucible can withstand it. The crucible can withstand this. Otherwise, if it truly is an ending of endings, then the crucible will essentially fracture, like, and then everything else turns to, it cracks open, and then everything is released like this doesn't exist anymore. It's gone completely. So let's have a look. What's going on over here, prospects? Okay. So with the High Priestess here, my feeling is that it's almost like you're being catapulted, almost squished through by fate. That's because with this card, and this card here, very strong energies of like what might feel fated. Now we have this here. You might be feeling like you're under so much pressure, like external pressure that you can't handle or manage, that you don't really have the skills in how to handle all this stuff, where you are literally thrown into the fog. And with the High Priestess, you end up, okay, I'm going to go back to this again, where you get thrown like through the convulsions of relationship here, the cathartic shifts and changes, whatever's going on with you, whatever's going on with the other, and how certain things are just no longer acceptable anymore. It's the end of the end. It's like there's a major crack here somewhere, and it's very destabilizing for you guys. Well, for you, remember, this is not a couples reading. It's all about you, Gemini, but we're allowing for the other. And what to me, it looks like what's happening here is you're coming out the other side of this. Let's say when the fog clears, for example, you literally become more spiritually evolved. The high priestess energy here symbolizing extreme high degrees of spiritual awareness and understanding, where everything that you need to know comes to you, and whatever you do not need to know does not come to you. It's very much to do with being in very close contact with heaven and understanding it and having a very calm, peaceful way of seeing your life and your world in relationship from a much higher perspective, like from a very spiritual perspective, as opposed to a relationship, where you are fog bound and you're dealing with three-dimensional limitations of our perceptions of life and reality. And you start to see everything. I'm going to say it again: expansion of spiritual awareness through challenges to our most deeply buried secrets and wounds that may be exposed in the context of relationship. Okay, so I added that as a bit extra. And then that's where you end up. That's where you guys end up. So they might be totally tripped out by what's happening, and they kind of go like, oh my gosh, I like I'm like there's like they're what's the word, like when people reach thresholds of spiritual awareness and they go on to these next level things, where they see everything from a much bigger, broader, more higher frequency perspective. It's happening for them too. Okay, it's really about you here, but it's happening to them too, because it's the whole relationship that's heading this way. So in some ways that's very beautiful, and in some ways for you, Gemini, you don't really have a choice except to surrender to this process, because it's above and beyond something that you can manipulate. If you try to force things to stay how they are, if you try to resist the energy of tectonic plates, and if you try to bury anything and deny anything and pretend that everything's okay, and it's actually not, then you're just going to make life a lot more challenging and hard for yourself, and then the pressure will come back down on you harder. So you might as well just surrender to what's happening here, go with the flow of it, and allow yourself to live through the process and come out the other side. Okay, thank you so much. I'm not going to say anything more. I don't want to spoil it. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Please consider being a member. I hope I didn't scare you with this reading. I'm just trying to give you a storyline here that because that's how I see it. When I do these things, to me, it's like watching a movie, and my role is to simply give you the subtitles. Okay? Thank you so much. All the best, Gemini. Hang in, okay? Be strong and be flexible. Bye.